So I was thinking about the fact that I'm not going to have my comfort food later on this year, my wonderful little Assassin's Creed game where I get to go and stab people in the throat in the beautiful city streets of London and France. Um,
Like mac and cheese.
exactly. So I was just thinking about the fact that, I'm going to miss that game this later on this year because I like the fact that, there can be a Halo and a Call of Duty and a Mass Effect Andromeda, Fallout 4, whatever, that only come around so often. But even if those games aren't quite piquing my interest, I can always go for what I know will satisfy me, which is a somewhat mediocre Assassin's Creed game. So we're not getting that this year. And I guess my question I'm asking you guys is, what kind of franchises are you missing? What kind of franchises need to be back, or maybe they're around, but they're not around in the sense that you want them to be? I guess a good example of that would be Metroid Prime Fusion Force. Is that right, Dom?
Federation Force, I think is what they call
Federation
it. Yeah.
Force, which is an even worse name. Um, and just the fact that, like, everyone wants a Metroid game, but nobody wants that Metroid game. So, what are the franchises that you guys are missing right now?
You want to shoot first, Dom, or you want me to go?
No, you go ahead.
Okay, so for me, I really think that they should take more advantage of the Mass Effect franchise. So, like, I love the Mass Effect franchise, love everything about it. These full-fledged, 60-hour games, 40-hour games, whatever they're going to be, like Andromeda, Mass Effect 3, Mass Effect 2, those are fine, but I really think that they should hit in the middle ground and have a separate company over there, a separate division over there at BioWare, work on these smaller games, kind of like a Fallout 3 to Fallout New Vegas kind of thing. Because the universe is so expansive and the lore is so huge that I really think they're missing a lot of opportunity to give us things. And man, that the lore in that game is so great that they could take that, they could make so many different genres of games. Like they could do an XCOM style game. They could do. There's so many opportunities that I just don't think they're hitting on, and I really wish they had this kind of like what Call of Duty's doing now, where it's 3 different companies and they each have time to make a polished game, right? I think they could definitely hit that out of the park with Mass Effect because it is a name that resonates with people. When people hear Mass Effect, they know it's it's a franchise that people care about, and I think being able to have these like little ancillary titles in there would salivate me, man. I want more Mass Effect, and Andromeda got delayed, and I really hope it doesn't suck. I don't know. I want more Mass Effect, and that's kind of selfish, I guess. But
I totally get where you're coming from. I've been thinking the same thing. Like you mentioned before we started recording, that Mass Effect is your favorite franchise. There's only 3 games,
Yeah.
Like most franchises are big and have spin-offs and have... I mean, Mass Effect has a lot of great novels and a lot of great comic books.
Yeah.
But yeah, where are the other games? Like, it's been... By the time Andromeda comes out, it'll be, 4 or 5 years since the last Mass Effect? And of course, that didn't end on such a great note, so I totally agree with you on the Mass Effect front, and... I'm not sure if you guys are fans of the Dragon Age series, but
Yeah, I need to get through the DLC on Inquisition.
BioWare are masters of lore.
Yes.
Absolute.
Yes.
Like, maybe the best in the industry when it comes to lore.
Agreed.
They've written, like, essentially lore Bibles for Mass Effect franchise and Dragon Age, and both of those series have such deep and interesting lore that you want to find out more. You want to read the comics and the novels. And so, yeah, I mean, Dragon Age has had 4 games. And then I do feel like there's more ancillary Dragon Age stuff than there is Mass Effect.
Yeah.
But, yeah, Mass Effect definitely needs to be one of those series because, like I said, BioWare just has it locked down on the lore.
They definitely know how to do lore right. I love everything they do so much. That's why I'm so excited. About the Star Wars game.
Yeah,
I'm excited to see what that, because the thing is gonna be filled to the brim with lore, and it's gonna be fantastic.
well, that's another great example. Is the KOTOR games have? Well, they only made Knights of the Old Republic 1, but that brought a lot of awesome lore into the Old Republic side of Star Wars that wasn't there before that game.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was going to be the example I was going to pick. Was KOTOR, because I never played the original. It was kind of, I want to say, before my time, but I was just a youngin when that was around.
Yeah.
So I never really never got into it, never went back to it. And at this point, I don't know. I mean, it's so old, but maybe I could have some fun with it nowadays. But yeah, that
I
would be
will say
something.
I modded it last fall, and I don't know if you're into modding. If you are, it's worth it because you can make it look a lot better, and it is like a freaking classic game.
But imagine if a studio like BioWare, remade that game today, what it could be.
True.
The other obvious one I'm thinking of is Red Dead. I think
Yep.
everyone is just dying for that. But
did you see that the next one's going to come out in 2017? There's a rumor.
that would add up, I guess. Yeah.
Well, they were talking about, wasn't it Rockstar or Take-Two, their publisher, that was talking about how they don't want to milk the crap out of their franchises and they want to give them time to breathe.
Yeah.
Well, you can find a
I
middle
think-
ground between milking the crap out of it
Yeah.
and letting it turn into dust.
It doesn't need to be Kingdom Hearts, right?
Yeah, well, totally Kingdom Hearts, but well, they've had all the spin-offs throughout the years. But
I guess that's
Red Dead, where like you're waiting too long on Red Dead, you're losing the zeitgeist on Red
Yeah.
Dead. You know
Yeah. Red Dead isn't GTA
exactly.
in the sense of like, public thought. So
Like, I mean, yeah, make your game good, take your time, but yeah, they're sitting on Red Dead, which is just a cash cow, just waiting, But yeah, people are gonna forget about it, like you're saying.
it's so interesting how different so a lot of people don't even know about Red Dead Revolver, which is the game that came out before Redemption, and I had that game and I loved that game. It was just such a great experience, but like the change between that game and Redemption was unreal. It was like two completely different games.
They're barely connected whatsoever.
Yeah.
It's Red Dead Redemption is essentially a spin-off of Revolver, I would say.
Yeah, but it's still something cool to know. Like there's a lot of people surprisingly that don't even know about Revolver.
Yeah. Yep.
So, plus they make great DLC. I don't know why GTA 5 hasn't gotten a solid piece like a Ballad of Gay Tony or even Undead Nightmare that Red Dead Redemption got. Like, I don't know how GTA 5 hasn't gotten. I mean, it took them so long to deliver on something that was on the package, the online gameplay, but
Yeah. They're under milking their franchises right now.
Yeah.
Rockstar is, because like, why didn't they make another Bully game? Why isn't there another Red Dead? How the hell did you not make single player DLC for GTA 5? Maybe the biggest game ever.
and yet
How
you
did
keep
you not
selling it
make
on every console for $60. Like,
Exactly. How do you not realize that people would buy DLC for that game? And I've just been waiting and waiting, and I was like, well, maybe once they put out the PC version, which was last year, maybe they'll finally get around to that DLC, and they never did. I don't care about GTA, but I'm just sitting on the outside looking like, what are you thinking?
yeah, we're not saying a game every 8 months to a year, but maybe a game every 2 years would be cool.
That's what I'm
People
saying.
buy
Like,
Far Cry every 2 years.
Yeah,
but that's what I'm saying. Like, we love to just make fun of EA or Activision or Destiny and then Call of Duty every year. Calling like these corporate greedy bloodsuckers just want every last dime, and they're not even making good games anymore. We love to criticize publishers or studios for that kind of thing, but you're right with Rockstar. It's like the opposite. It's too far in the other direction. Like, there's not enough content. Like,
it's like I don't know. Yeah, it's like the Valve thing of like they don't want to oversaturate, but like
Dude.
I think it's just being too like caught up in yourself to be like that personally.
Don't even get me started on Valve. Freaking over there making Portal demos for the Vive. Get out of here, man. Like, make a video game, dude. Where is Left 4 Dead 3?
Yeah.
Like, that's a perfect example. Where is Left 4 Dead 3? Where is Portal 3? Where is
Anything
Half-Life
3?
Obviously, like, don't tell me you're afraid to make a third game in a franchise. Like, these are big, big names that you're just letting wither and die. Why would you let your awesome franchises wither and die?
Yeah,
well,
agreed.
plus Zelda. Where's Zelda?
Well, a Zelda game we want to buy and play.
Right,
That's not made like 10 years ago.
We need more than one per console generation. I mean, come on, Nintendo. Just
It's crazy to think that Skyward Sword was the last major entry that wasn't a re-release.
Right.
Yeah, that was on console.
and they're not
was Wii.
anywhere near the scope of a GTA. So you don't have the same kind of excuse, or extra time to polish it.
Yeah.
Zelda is tiny compared. I mean, it's still big, right? But
Well, they're talking about, obviously they've delayed the game because it was supposed to come out like a while ago, I feel like. And they would show us those like off-screen demos,
Uh-huh.
and that world just looks so empty. Like, it doesn't. People are like, "Oh, it's animated Skyrim," but I don't. Skyrim had people like populating it and monsters to fight and stuff like that, and you're showing us a playable demo, and yet it just looks like a world that you just dropped this character into to run around in for a while.
I just, yeah, man, as the years go on and even the days and the months, like, that nostalgia tank that's been jet fueling Nintendo is running on in fumes at this point.
And that's kind of another point I wanted to bring up in this conversation, just about how, when does that nostalgia run out? Because, like we said, last real Zelda game was, at least 5 years ago on the Wii. Last real Red Dead game was, 4 or 5 years ago. I don't know when that came out. And when do you stop going, oh, I loved Red Dead Redemption, I can't wait for the next one? And then when does that change to, seriously, guys, when is the next one?
Yeah. I don't know. I think there is a counter argument to this of like oversaturation and everything.
Right.
But we've talked about this like multiple times in this conversation of like hitting the middle ground. It's not like we're asking for a new game every year, but we would like something more than every 5 years, Yeah. It's because we care about it. It's because we love it. Like, honestly, I would much rather play a spin-off Mass Effect game that might be not the greatest game, but definitely not horrible. BioWare doesn't make super bad games. But like, I'd rather play a Mass Effect side spin game than, I could name a bunch of other games that I'd much rather play that over that. And it's just, I think they don't understand how much we care about wanting to have these experiences more often. And I think they need to figure out the middle ground more. So.
Sure.
Agreed.
For me, like, of course, the Assassin's Creed series, I mentioned that earlier. I'm going to miss that this year. And then, there's those games that you just kind of think about and you're like, where did that franchise go?
Yeah.
Like, I hope that they make a Sly Cooper 5. I really do, because they tease it at the end of Sly 4. Sanzaru was like... the story of that game is so cool because Sanzaru made the Sly collection, and then they did such a good job on that they were like, hey, Sony, what if we made a real Sly game? And then that actually happened. So I want more Sly Cooper.
I want Jak and Daxter. If they're bringing back Ratchet and Clank, I want Jak and Daxter.
Absolutely.
Crash Bandicoot too.
Crash Bandicoot,
day.
yeah.
I want to see what somebody could do with Spyro. Like, it's a weird pick, I know, but like... Sure. I love Spyro. That's like a childhood staple of mine. And to have a company that's creative, I would love to see what they could do with that.
Did you guys see the concept art that Naughty Dog put out a while ago for Jak 4?
Nuh-uh.
Oh my gosh. I'll send it to you guys after the podcast. But it was so cool. It was like the grown-up Jak that, you kind of wanted when you played 2 and 3 that were like these kind of edgy teen-rated games,
Yeah.
And they were talking about it being kind of like a Mad Max, like the game that just came out last year, open world type situation. If you played Jak 3, you could get this really easily, how it would be. And I guess basically they just decided to make The Last of Us instead of that, which I'm okay with, but...
I'm more than okay with that.
But... like, for example, Colin Moriarty always talks about how it would be a gross waste of time for Naughty Dog to be making another Jak game. And I would be okay with someone else making it, but honestly, I think Naughty Dog needs to make another Jak game, because something that's been missing from their games is, to me, fun. Like, the Uncharted games are cool, they're a big spectacle, but the shooting, to me, is really lackluster.
It's average,
yeah. The climbing is just kind of like whatever. It's not nearly as good as Assassin's Creed or Infamous. So really, when you come down to it, it's the environments and the story, which the story is phenomenal in both Uncharted and Last of Us. Right, but that only goes so far with me, and I want to play a Naughty Dog game where I'm having a blast the entire time, instead of, oh great, here comes minigun guy with the armor that I've got to shoot for 20 extra minutes just to get him knocked down or whatever. Like, I want a fun Naughty Dog game, and I think Jak 4 would be just that.
I think those guys need like a refreshing something after they finish Uncharted 4. I really hope they do something, because
I totally feel that way.
A new Jak and Daxter game, or even what they did with Ratchet and Clank, but they do with Jak and Daxter, that would get me to buy a PS4 more than Uncharted 4. Me personally.
Wow.
Because I have no investment in Uncharted. I could care less.
Dude, tweet Shuhei Yoshida right now. That's so awesome.
I could care less about Uncharted. And I'm not saying they're bad games or anything. From obviously what I've seen, they're phenomenal experiences. But it doesn't resonate with me because I've never played any of them and I could care less. And it doesn't feel like a series that I need to go play. I had a PS3 and it was in my closet collecting dust. Last of Us came out. That was an experience I felt I needed to play.
Yeah.
Uncharted to me isn't. It's like male Tomb Raider, and it's like, okay, whatever.
The Uncharted franchise and what I assume to be the Last of Us franchise, they're great games, but honestly, in my opinion, I think they are overrated. I don't think that they're like the best games ever, and I don't think Last of Us is a 10. I think there's
I'm gonna go in the bathroom and throw up really quick at what you just said.
Well, okay. The combat to me is average in The Last of Us.
I agree.
The combat is extremely average, and what is the number one thing in video games? Gameplay. And if you're talking about what's the best part of a video game and you're saying it's gameplay, then Uncharted 1, 2, 3, and Last of Us do not hold up whatsoever. The story, the characters, the writing, which none of that is like the actual game part. All of that stuff is what stands out in an Uncharted game or a Last of Us game, and the combat and the action is just average, dude, like as far as the actual gameplay. So I think they're overrated.
Maybe that's why they don't want to do a new Jack game, because it relies so heavily on gameplay that they are more like towards making a solid story, and then the gameplay is forgiven because of that. Maybe it's like, well, maybe you don't want to touch that because we need to hit on the gameplay, and we don't have that solid of a story that we can build around because it's already I don't know. I just
see the story in Jack and Daxter is okay. Like, it's solid and it's fun, and there's some twists and turns that I like.
Yeah.
But obviously that's not like, it's not a big thing in Crash Bandicoot. So
Yeah.
Crash and Jack are all about gameplay, and that's what Naughty Dog was all about back in the day. And I wish they would like really get back to that instead of being, let's be the best interactive movie we possibly can. Like,
you know what would be funny if the whole reason Amy Hennig left, and this isn't the reason, but what if she was like all for Team Jack, Team Crash Bandicoot? And
she's like, I want to write a gritty reboot of Jack and Daxter, guys. And they're like, no, we only make adult games about mushroom heads trying to click you to death.
And she's like, well, I'm out. I'm going to go make Star Wars and make a shit ton of money.
So all right, we've just been talking about games that we think should come back. Let's flip it really quick. A couple are going to be obvious, but what else? What other franchises do you think like need to go away? Need to take the same cue as
Call of
Assassin's
Duty.
Creed? Because for me, Call of Duty, obviously they could definitely take a break, or at least hopefully go back to their roots and maybe do a World War II or something. But they need to do something different. But for me, it's Dark Souls. After Dark Souls 3 comes out this year, they need to take a break from that formula. Because don't get me wrong, I'm gonna put 80 hours into Dark Souls 3, but I'm not as excited for it as I was as Bloodborne and Dark Souls 2. I'm starting to feel the fatigue from it for sure.
I think Zelda's oversaturated too. Personally.
Well, but not just the franchise in general and not the main entries, because you're getting like remasters of Twilight Princess and Wind Waker, and you're getting freaking Triforce Heroes.
It's like if you're releasing the
games.
HD remake of Twilight Princess, right? Is that the one that just came out?
Yeah.
Why would you come out with Triforce Heroes? It's like an ancillary thing where you're just trying to make money on the Legend of Zelda name.
So the worst part about the Twilight Princess HD remake is you can play the original Twilight Princess on Wii U.
Okay.
Oh,
because you can play it, backwards compatible with the Wii, and Twilight Princess is available for the Wii. So they they did an HD re-release of a game that is already compatible with the system. Sure. I mean, obviously, they upgraded a few things here and there, whatever, but still, that kind of, it goes to your point that, they're just throwing out Triforce Heroes and re-releases and all this other crap when it's not what we really want.
Also, going to the thing of, like, what games you want to see more of, I need a second Shovel Knight, like, ASAP. Get on that. Yacht Club games.
I don't think you need to worry about that.
I know. I just want it now.
You can hold your breath on that one.
I want it now.
I'm going to say the only thing crazier than Jordan saying Last of Us is not a 10, and that's I've never played Shovel Knight, so I'm going to get on that.
That's surprising.
Nothing I said was crazy. It's an average game.
It's best played on 3DS. I own it for 3DS. I own it for Xbox. I think the handheld experience is the best experience, so definitely get on it. It's one of the best platformers I've played probably my entire life. I love it. It's beautiful. I love that game so much.
I think it's freaking awesome.
Yeah, it's
You
great.
should definitely play it, Dominic.
Yeah.
What's up, everybody? Thanks for checking out the Controlled Interest Gamecast. If you want to stay up to date, remember to subscribe on YouTube and iTunes, and give us a follow on SoundCloud and on Twitter at CTRLINT. Hashtag Smash the Dunst!